Well, anyway, down, he gets to hit. Kenny gets to hit DDP in the ribs with the chair, until all of a sudden he stops. Which Kimberly doesn't necessarily like this, but Kenya has something more devious in mind. He sets up the chair, and as the ref's coming back into it, Kenya puts Dami Cutter's DDP through that chair, a la Randy Orton and Cena, that you would see years later. But the ref actually calls a DQ here, because again, stuff like that's going to matter. He gets in about 7 minutes, and because, he blames Diamondball's Page for his neck problems, so he's going to put him in more neck problems, and not just his ribs. A structure job is done for DDP. As we go into the next match with a little bit more levity. And honestly, there isn't necessarily much more background to this. It's the Young Dragons versus 3 Count. Background is, after having frequent matches on Worldwide, which they did at this point, I'm just letting the Young Lions go at it for a good period of time. And have them try to impress the crowd. That I'm trying to at least rebuild a good portion of the Cruiserweight division, just to make it more exciting and have new faces there. Just because everything else is damaged. Again, there isn't necessarily much of a description in this match. Essentially, let the young guys do young guys stuff. Do crazy athleticism, high energy stuff. And since Young Dragons were already more focused on Nitro than the 3 Count was, I'm going to give 3 Count the win here because they can use the win. But all that stuff let's happen in 13 minutes. And in one of the few matches I'm almost keeping wholesale in, with slight differences. Essentially, for Scott Hall's contract on the line, it's Kevin Nash and Goldberg. So, in this weird period of WCW, in real life, Goldberg turned heel at Great American Bash. However, the reasoning being, he wants to get revenge on the NWO and the Outsiders. And the Millionaires Club, because it's Hogan, Hall, and Nash would probably, well, Hall probably would be in the Millionaires Club, but Hogan and Nash are. That, and it's always been the NWO that screws over Goldberg. Like, literally, it's the Outsiders are the first people to cause Goldberg's first defeat. The NWO screwed him over twice after that. So Goldberg's pretty much just going on a revenge tour, and he's going to try to take out the NWO, or the members of the old NWO. And I'm explaining the big hug to Russo and Bischoff at the end of Great American Bash, as Goldberg joins New Blood for one reason, and one reason only. He wants Bischoff to give him Hall's contract. And it takes a little bit of time, for about a week, before Goldberg asks him, "I have it. Do you have it?" Bischoff says, "I have it," hands him the slips of paper. Goldberg opens up, looks at it, is pleased with what he sees, puts the paper away, and then cuts Bischoff down, because he's former NWO. And he hits him with the spear, the jackhammer, and at the end, he throws up the one. And after that, you see him attack, like almost every week. He attacks a member of the NWO. Buff Bagwell, Lex Luger, if he's even around at this point. Hogan, you'll get involved in that. Pretty much anybody that wore the NWO black and white colors, he attacks. I don't even say that he draws Nash to a fight, namely because if you don't fight me, I'm going to rip this up. And the one chance you get to save your friend's livelihood, whose life is going completely wrong at this point, it's to face me in a match and win. While Nash is sort of mulling around in his feelings here, he calls Hall. But when the other side picks up, it's Bill Goldberg already having destroyed Scott Hall. So there's a reason why I'm not using Hall in person here. Hall in his real life at this point had a relationship with one of WCW or Turner's executives, or their daughter was having a relationship with Hall, I should say. And that daughter later go on to see that Hall had hooked up with his ex-girlfriend. And that executive didn't want Hall around anymore. So, me being a lowly head of creative falls under the executive, so Hall can't be used and I have to write his ass out. But yeah, this is pretty much, in short, it's Goldberg's revenge against the NWO tour. I'll say this, for the match, it gets a familiar length of time for these two, as their Starrcade 98 match had about 10 minutes to it. But this time, no cattle prod, no nothing. Goldberg even sets up in the same corner. He cuts Nash down with the spear, jackhammer. Goldberg wins this and tears the contract right in front of his face. And no, there's no. And if you're familiar with the actual Bash at the Beach, there's no Scott Steiner heel turn here.
No.
So next match, to bring the crowd back up, we have a Booker T match versus Mike Awesome. Background of this is simple. It's the New Blood Millionaires Club story, which I thought Booker was part of the Millionaires Club, but thankfully I asked Joe beforehand, and Booker was sort of like in between, where I have Bischoff questioning Booker's loyalty, and he wants him to reaffirm his club's New Blood standing. I'll say Bischoff wants them to injure somebody, Hogan, let's just say. But Booker T refuses because he's got a conscience. But when Booker actually ends up refusing, Eric sends Mike Awesome after him. So, getting to this match, it's a straightforward match with the WCW's up-and-coming stars. In my mind, Booker's the main event star, so he'll get the clean win here with the axe kick in about 13 minutes. But it also gives enough time for Awesome to, look awesome. But the main idea is to get Booker a big win and have him and have him have a good match with somebody that's not Buff Bagwell, because he's like the only major name I can think of that I had left that he could possibly have a match with. But I decided with Mike Awesome because, he's much better than Buff Bagwell. The next match, I have the Steiner brothers versus Tank Abbott, and this is going to be a really random get, versus Tank Abbott and the Mama Lukes. Alright, so let me explain this, please. At Grand American Bash, Rick stopped Tank, or tried to stop Tank from hitting Scott with a chain because he thought that was too far, and that's still his brother. At least that's what the reasoning was. It did not look that well, but I'm using the reasoning because I think this will be a better moment heading into this pay-per-view. This will lead to a Steiner Brothers reunion when Scott saves Rick from Tank's beatdown with the same chain. And Tank costs Scott the U.S. title to the debuting Lance Storm. Scott was the champion during this event, but when Lance Storm debuts on June 19th, which is the actual date, he wins the U.S. title. So I know what you're thinking. Why am I adding Vito and Johnny the Bull?
Yes.
Well, the mom will just get added because the Steiners need more geeks to beat up.
Oh, sorry.
In storyline reason, Abbott says he has a vague Italian relation that, well, seems legit, sure, why not? It's mostly played off for laughs. And they're helping their fellow Italian. So, for this match, it's a little bit of tag formula, but this is mostly the Steiners wrecking fools. Mama Luke's somewhere in the final minute decided to fuck this. I'm not getting beat up by the Steiners anymore, and they leave Tank to his fate. Steinerizer wins this in 7 minutes, and for celebration, Scott had Medeja and Shakira. There's 2 more freaks there for Scott, because how else is Big Papa Pump going to celebrate? He's going to look out for his little brother, too. Or his older brother. His older brother.
Yeah.
Rick's the older brother. Alright, so next match, like I mentioned before, for the United States Championship, it's Lance Storm versus Ric Flair. So the background for this, after being done with the whole thing with Russo and David Flair, we see Flair start to be challenged by Lance Storm. I'm sorry, on Lance Storm's second week, he wins the United States title from Scott, as I previously mentioned. However, his motivation through the month is challenging and harassing Flair, because, well, to be the man, you gotta beat the man. He's debuting, he wants to start his reputation off right. Flair refuses at first, because he doesn't need to deal with a rookie. That also gives the New Blood more motivation too, as they're more or less being dismissed, and I'm going to at least try to show that, but I don't necessarily have anything written down, and there's nothing in the future to hold me to that, but that's what we can go with there. But what draws Flair into this match is the New Blood beats Flair down. And then when Reed tries to protect his father, because Reed's at ringside, and he was used the month before, so we know who he is when he shows up. I'm going to say Lance Storm puts his hands on Reed. No, I'm not going to say attack. I'm going to say something like this, like grab his shirt and like pull him out of the way or something. Which brings out Flair. You son of a bitch! I'm gonna kick your ass. We're gonna have the match. So getting to the match with Flair's wrathful anger. There's moments in there where he loses his cool, and Storm takes advantage of this the whole way. This gets a large amount of time here, and just to let them wrestle / fight on Flair's part. However, the ultimate victory is going to be Lance Storm here, as Ric Flair does eventually lose his cool, and it puts him in a situation where Lance Storm rolls him up, holds onto the ropes without the referee seeing. 1, 2, 3. Lance Storm retains the United States title in about 20 minutes. and this would be the start of a feud between them going forward.
Alright.
Next match, the casket match. It's Sting versus Vampiro. Background. I can't believe I'm writing this in a wrestling show. The Human Torch match ended with Sting being set on fire and falling off the Turnotron. I'm just gonna pause there. So, for me, in the weeks after that, we get visions from Sting tormenting Vampiro, including caskets that are either filled with scorpions or being set on fire, or a crow popping out of a casket or something. Just visions of Sting and a casket. And Sting doesn't show up till Bash at the Beach, but you sort of get the idea that Sting wants a casket match with Vampiro. The match, it's a little bit of street fight feeling to it, as they brawl all around here, hit each other with various stuff here. But Sting mostly feels dominant, and Vampiro a little worried and fearful. He gets a good shots, but Sting ultimately wins by slamming the casket door shut in around 10 minutes. So for the world title match and the main event, Jeff Jarrett versus Hulk Hogan. Hogan won the #1 contenders match at Great American Bash when he beat Billy Kidman. Although I don't think Billy Kidman if Billy Kidman had one, he won. I think it was a retirement match.
Yes.
So he would have retired, but if Hogan won, since he did, he's the #1 contender. I'm gonna say there's not necessarily more creative thought added to this here. You can wrap more new blood stuff and wrap the multiple storylines into this, like Goldberg cutting Hogan off 1 week. But unlike what actually happened in real life, the match doesn't happen on Nitro.
Okay.
But again, this is more straightforward. I want your belt. You're not taking my belt. The importance of this match for me, though, and the decision process in my mind, is that I'm setting up for the future here. As at this point, and going by what I'm taking Russo at his word with this, the decision here, and what mostly affected this night, was that they wanted Booker T to walk away with the belt. Vince Russo took that as, let's do that right here tonight, and that ended up seemingly causing the problems. Where Hogan said no, and in his creative control card, which he had in his contract, and Vince Russo threw his fit. But instead of just throwing the belt on Booker one night, a month after he was in the Misfits of Action, we're actually going to build him up a little bit. And the ultimate person that Booker will be would win this match. As Booker is going to be my babyface hero going forward after Starrcade. And maybe that, and getting the match, maybe this is not going to be the most exciting end to the show here. So I'll give it like 11 minutes. Decent amount of time for a main event match, but not necessarily go too long. The Hulkster drops the legs and wins the title. Because, yeah, Jarrett will probably give Booker a better match here. But Booker beating Hogan will be in bigger stature. Hogan's the biggest star in wrestling of all time. And that's who I want Booker T to face at the end of that road from this point to Starrcade. However, again, I'm not legally held to any of that, but that was my idea for this show.
That was very good.
Thank you.
That was very good.
And hopefully, in the parallel universe somewhere, I fixed WCW.
Well, in my parallel,
I saved WCW.
Well, I saved WCW right away because Vince Russo, like I said, to start things off, for 10 seconds, Vince Russo does not come back as Spring Stampede in April. So, Eric Bischoff though does, but not Vince Russo. But we can't start with Spring Stampede we're gonna have to go all the way back to Sold Out 2000.
So pretty much the start of the year.
Yeah, and I don't like the whole time pay-per-views because I'm pretty sure a whole bunch of these pay-per-views are going to be part of these fixes.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of.
Yes.
But, and they're not going to be the ideas I have for when we do that for them. That's just for this world.
Yeah. For WCW, there's a nice long string from like 2000, from like 98 to like 2000.
Right.
And maybe even 1997.
And the results I use here aren't going to be results I use when we do these for real. But this is the results I need for this in particular
Yes.
world. So, go back to Sold Out 2000, they had the tournament type thing. The reason I'm doing this is I'm explaining why some of the stars aren't going to be on this show. Like, because I'm on my show. And things like that. People want to build up. And I want to do the backstory of how I got to my version of Big Blood Millionaires Club. Without really, it doesn't include the whole entire roster.
Yeah.
No, so Sold Out 2000. Bret had to vacate the title due to his injury with the head.
Yeah.
So that part I do keep in. So an 8-man tournament, which I believe it was held, but I didn't hold. I held it all that Sold Out. I didn't do it on TV where the files were Benoit was sitting.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, I knew Benoit was leaving. I didn't do that. All right. So
I mean, if you knew Benoit was leaving, why would you give him the title?
right. So
As great as Benoit is, why would you give him the title?
yeah. So pretty much.
As much better as he is in Sid.
So, on, my little backstory to this show is, well, first there was a tag team tournament on TV to determine new tag champs because I forget who they were, but I wasn't famous.
I believe it was Perfect Event.
That was in 2000, right? No, to go into 2000.
Going into 2000.
Yeah,
Wow.
like late 99, yeah.
Yeah.
So just,
I think for Bachelor's Beach it was Columbo and Stasia.
yeah, that's what I
think.
Yeah, I got them. I got them on the card.
Yeah.
I got the tag titles on the card.
I don't know. They're the people I left off the card.
Yeah, so.
I'd rather put 3 Count Young Dragons there.
So I sold out pretty much the backstory of Sarah. I mean, how I read the Radical suit. Sarah and Demon won the titles on Nitro in the tournament, but they lose them to 3 Count. That's sold out. Helms had more to put 3 Count over for that. And then I did a tournament for the world title on Sold Out, the whole tournament. So that will lead to, these are the matches I just came up with in my head. I was just thinking them. Booker T beat Lex Luger in the first open round. Nash beat DDP. Benoit beat Regal. Kurt Hennig beat Dustin Rhodes.
Real was with WCW?
In January 2000.
Huh.
Yeah.
I thought he came in WWE in late 99.
Then, semifinals I had Booker T beat Nash and Benoit beat Kurt Hennig. The reason I have Benoit and Booker in the finals, Benoit and Booker has some clinics in 98 for the TV title, then 7. So this time they got again in the finals of the world title, and Benoit pulls Booker over. And Booker wins the world championship I sold out in 2000.
Okay.
And then I'm doing this backstory for just people on this card where everybody comes in. Then for Super Bowl, Hulk Hogan makes his return. You don't say it.
Okay.
And he cuts a promo pretty much saying about how these young guys who are a bunch of nobodies trying to act like superstars. And then that pisses him off. And he challenges Booker to a match at Super Bowl.
I'm guessing. Going with how you're going, I'm guessing that's the start of your New Blood.
Right, yeah, I actually...
But the New Blood's the baby face, is the Millionaires Club.
Not fully healed, but just jealous.
Okay.
And Booker comes out, confronts Hogan, says, Hulk Hogan, I'm coming for you. And he's busting his ass for years.
Would you actually have him say it?
He's busting his ass for years, and he's the one who carried WCW. Hogan, you're running the tops over to do that, suckers, blah, blah, blah. And then, I have Booker beat Hogan in the main event Super Bowl, and they embrace after the match, and along with Hogan and black people, and show respect for them. But also on that card, it's noteworthy is Scott Hall's last pay-per-view match, which I do give to Jeff Jarrett, and have Jeff Jarrett retire Scott Hall. Alright.
Okay.
Get rid of Scott Hall and WCW.
Okay.
Yeah. Then, Uncensored 2000, not real much I gotta go into the backstory here for Booker. It's just more about, Jeff Jarrett brags about it. He ran the drunken fool Scott Hall out of WCW, and he was coming for Booker next, but Booker reset. For a censor, the only main figure says Scott Steiner made a return and build up to the censor. As a heel, to feud with Hogan, which led to a number one contenders ODQ match, and I had Steiner beat Hogan to some Spring Stampede. And then anything else on the card was I had Stacy Keibler's not with on it is Stacy Keibler. I remember 4 count match 4 count. No.
Okay, yeah, I can see like the businesswoman.
Well, yeah, not.
Apparently enjoys dancing, so
yeah,
she probably would manage a pop star.
Yeah,
or 3.
Right. So though in my head, I think 4 count might just be Shine more than Shane Helms. But anyway, and Stacy. But so that would be like the new word for something. And Canyon was the U.S. title. That's important because it comes into one build up to match and niche. Spring Stampede, I don't vacate all the titles when Bischoff comes back.
No.
As Booker, I fought with Booker pretty well as champion. And then, this is where we keep the New Blood versus the Millionaires Club on a smaller scale. But not everybody's in it, but Bischoff comes back with the New Blood. Because Kevin Sullivan was booking for the time period.
Yeah.
So it is a new start. In terms of New Blood, the first person to make an impact, Bischoff and Hogan are having an in-ring promo. Bischoff says he has somebody that has a close family relation to Hogan. Hogan's nephew debuts, which is Mike Awesome.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Mike Awesom's Hogan's nephew. His Horace's cousin.
He's not like he's Horace's cousin, and that's how him and Hogan are.
Right, yeah, but just for context of hate.
Yeah.
But I go for the whole die history.
Yeah.
Horace is in all. Michael also power-ups Hogan for an announce table, and Eric Bischoff announces also signed WCW in the New Blood. Face Hogan for Stampede. Then Scott Steiner is the only contender for Booker. Steiner, I do have Steiner beat Booker to win the title. Because I think he's a better choice as a heel than champion Jarrett.
Yes.
DDP beats Jarrett, Mike Wilson.
If 2001 proves anything, that run for Scott Steiner, yeah.
Yeah. DDP beats Jarrett and MASH, and Mike Wilson beats Hogan in the 3 big matches.
It's also why I took the belt off of Jarrett to give to Hogan, because he's going to put over Booker more.
And then, what's show you so I just did that early.
Yeah.
As Booker's champ. And then I just made up Booker's first defense. Then I also rolled with Dustin Rhodes here too, like, to give Billy Kim a big win.
Okay.
And this was because I say because I believe Dustin got suspended because of his drugs and all his habit. So now Slam Marie. The reason I'm doing this is because I want to change something for this world. Like I said, if we had to rebook Slam Marie 2000, I'm not booking this show. I'm gonna use a different show.
Yeah.
This is just how I'm booking for Bash and Beach.
This is to get you to
Bash and Beach. Yeah. Slam Marie 2000 is pretty much. I had a backstory told to build up for my match, but I had to do the backstory and why the world was completely different. Pat went the more simplistic way. Me, I pretended 2000 practically didn't happen. I'll be simplistic as a bad thing. I told him about Russo left you in charge.
Yeah.
And you just took over his shit.
Yeah, I had to take over his shit and fix WCW.
Right. So for Slam Marie 2000, Ray makes his Chavez had a mystery opponent. Not for a Cruiserweight title, because I had Hoovy return with his base and win the title as Spring Stampede.
Okay.
This is the action that'll happen here. Chavez just pissed off he lost the Cruiserweight title to Hoovy, and he does an open challenge to any Cruiserweight in the world as Slam Marie. Ray makes his return with his base on to defeat Chavez as Slam Marie. Chuck Palumbo and Sean Stage after their debuts, if you freak out. Then Chronic made their debut too because I need a time. I'm trying to work with this time division. Kurt Hennig has his farewell match here against Billy Kimmon. Sting and Vampiro will face off one last time because I had a few later and buried the live match, but that ends at Slam Marie. Scott Steiner and DDP get embroiled in a personal feud for the title after DDP goes after DDP's wife, Kimberly Scott. And the main event for the Slam Marie.
Kind of like almost how it did in real life.
I do have full results for these though. This is when I'm trying to get. This is like the spring summer now build.
Mm-hmm.
And then The main event will be the New Blood facing the Millionaires Club in a War Games match. The 4 members of the Millionaires Club.
I did have that planned, but after my show.
Ah!
I was setting up for
Fall
Brawl, yeah.
The 2 teams of 4. The 4 members of the Millionaires Club are Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Kevin Nash, and Lex Luger. 4 members of the New Blood are Jeff Jarrett, Mike Awesome, Chris Kanyon, and Bischoff forced Booker T to join, threatening that if he does it, he'll never get another title shot again.
Okay.
It was against Booker's will because he has respect for the guys that paid him well.
Yeah.
So on Slamboree, I just made a few results. Both Bagwell and Shane Douglas become Andy Morris, just thrown together these two faces of fear. Perfect event debut, so they beat 3 count. Tag team title match, Chronic defeated my tag champs in time, the Young Dragons. So one of the tag titles. Cruiserweight title, Hoovy beat Chris Candido. Timon defeat Kurt Hang's last match. So, Ray beat Chavo. Buried Live Sleepy Bear. Here World Title title, Scott Steiner defeated CP. And then Bischoff had a caveat, if the Millionaires Club, whoever loses, if the Millionaires Club lose, that person must is forced to leave WCW. So the New Blood defeat the Millionaires Club in War Games with Mike Awesome pinned Lex Luger, and then Lex Luger scored from WCW.
Okay.
Now the Bill of Great American Bash, Mike Awesome starting to get the moniker of the career killer. I do have to clarify, dude, Billy Kidman, Kurt Angle was the babyface. Billy Kidman was a heel.
Okay.
So the Bill of Great American Bash.
Tori's still with him.
Yeah, Tori's still.
Okay.
Yeah. Then I was Shane. Tori's always Shane Douglas and Buff. She's with Billy. Bill of the Great American Bash is a little bit more simple. Goldberg made his return in June after sights of his monster truck.
Yeah.
And does help the Millionaire Club. Specifically, Kevin Nash helps to take out Buff Bagwell and Shane Douglas who've been tormenting Nash. So that's a tag match, a Great American Bash. Then Billy Kidman will, kind of like the Hogan feud, started going to Ric Flair for the Great American Bash.
Okay.
Mike Awesome was targeting DDP picks. And Booker T's Sting face-off in the one contenders match. Scott Steiner attacks both of them. The cat gets angry because he's the commissioner. So I had that part to say he books a triple threat for the bash. Great American Bash, perfect event, beat Young Dragons, Chronic for fail. Yes, if you're wondering, I just switched the tag matches. Cruiserweight title, Hoovy beat Cash Hayashi. Ric Flair beat Billy Kidman. But Ric Flair helps Kidman up. And they shake hands after the match and show respect to Kidman's face. And as Kidman's walking in the back, he gets berated by Bischoff. Bischoff comes down and berates him for shaking Ric Flair's hand. Somewhere along the lines, so I didn't want to because I made Kanyon win the U.S. title.
Okay.
And he defeats Rey Mysterio here. Goldberg and Nash beat Shane Douglas and Buff Bagwell. Mike Awesome defeated DDP. I had Awesome absolutely destroy DDP and average DDP on TV for a few months too. Hulk Hogan defeated Jeff Jarrett here. And then 3-way match, Steiner pretty much to continue his dominant reign by beating Sting.
Okay.
Match of the 2000. So we're starting with the Cruiserweight title match, which involves a very dominant Juventud Guerrero since he returned as Spring Stampede, face an old forgets, Chavo Guerrero. Tell me if you've heard this one before, because this match in fact opened up. But if you notice, there was no mention.
Juventud has a mask.
Right.
And there's no filthy animals or
MIA.
Yeah,
so what you get is about a 15-minute match where Hoovy and Chavo, there's built to it, but it's your basic, Chavo's my top heel cruiserweight, and who's going to be built up as my top overall cruiserweight. And Chavo and Hoovy pull on a 15-minute clinic and just let them go. Remind WCW fans of what they used to see in the Cruiserweight division, how they were booking. Yeah. But in the end, Hoovy hits the Hoovy driver in the 450 to retain the title and continue his Cruiserweight title reign. Up next, well, all 4 teams will face each other in separate matches. So then we have a tag team title match, fatal 4-way. Pretty much, the former champs there got the rematch in 3 count against the Young Dragons versus the Perfect Event versus Chronic. I have nothing for the tag division in 2000.
I didn't have anything for them either.
So honestly, I just had Chronic win because they're the most dominant team. But honestly, this was just to get the tag titles on the card.
My idea for the tag division was bringing back the Steiner brothers.
Right. So, yeah, this was a hard one. That was
really I could have used Scott somewhere else.
Yeah, I'll be honest. That was a hard one. So my next match, Bam Bam Bigelow makes his return.
Okay.
On tier. And he just squashed the jobbers and cruiserweights. Low end cruiserweights, like there's Silver Kings or Liz Marsh, Liz Creeks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Liz Creeks there at that point, but you get the point. People at that level. And Volanos. And actually he beats both Volanos in a handicap match. And then he challenges the rest of the Volano family. And destroys all that. But the Bam Bam is not in my head, not t-shirt wearing. And full singlet underneath Bam Bam. They're getting flame singlet, 1993.
Bam Bam.
Bam Bam, or even ECW Bam Bam. Yeah. At the very least. Yeah.
Which who knows if you could physically do that stuff at this point?
Right, but we're in a different world.
Yeah.
Or fantasy land. Okay, fine. ECW Bam Bam at least. I want a few attacks at the very least. And so he's just dominantly small guy. So he challenges. He wants to face someone. He was missing the competition, and then Rey Mysterio comes out, pretty much, and tells him that he might not be the size that Bigelow's looking for, but he has the heart that Bigelow's looking for, and he's willing to take him on. Bigelow laughs off the challenge, sets up the match for Bash and Beach, and coming weeks of Bigelow does jump Rey and attack him to show off his dominance. Bash gets like 10 minutes because I do know about his physical limitations. That was probably the best. In the end, Bigelow does dominate the match, but in the end, Rey has his mask. Isn't Rey around the mask? Rey with the mask, a tornado DDT, Hurricane later, and Rey beats Bam Bam to get his first win out the not his first win out of the Cruiserweight division, but his first step towards another level in WCW. And Paris Cruz only making his biggest challenge yet other than the match when he beat him the year before.
Okay.
Okay, next one, United States title. Kanyon had lost the US title on Nitro when it failed 4-way to a debut in Lance Storm.
Okay. Well, we had the same idea. If you have Lance Storm, why not use them?
And who else was in the match? Billy Kidman and someone. Yeah. Billy Kidman and I didn't write it down. Okay, but I know someone else in the match. Well, it don't matter because Billy Kidman's the main focus here anyway. Maybe Lars. I was like, oh, because he was at the US television time. But anyway, fell 4-way. It's mainly down to Kanyon Lance Storm and Billy Kidman. That's what it counts. Kanyon's taking out Billy Kidman, who does most of the work to keep Kanyon down, and I hate the ending, but it's the usual. Steal the pin. Steal the win. Heel steals the win. Debut with heel steals the win from LA Storm pins Kanyon to win the US title. And then, but Bischoff's, Lance Storm's won. Bischoff congratulated him and all that. And the next week, and Kat says that Lance Storm didn't prove nothing by winning the US title like that. And since Billy Kidman did most of the work, that sets up the United States title match for the match at Beach. Lance Storm defending against Billy Kidman. Really good match. Did about 15-20 minutes. Pretty much in the end, Billy Kidman went for a shooting star on Lance. Lance rolls to the outside. Billy goes Billy goes for a planche, and Lance dodges it. While Billy's getting up on the outside, Lance goes over and super kicks Tori in the face. I was trying to think, did Lance have a woman with him? The woman was eventually Major Guns, but I didn't really feel like debut.
Yeah.
I didn't really debut with Major Guns. So
Lance is just gonna do it himself.
Right. And then Billy gets chuckle her, Lance throws him into the pole, and then super kick, and then puts her in the Canadian Maple Leaf crab. But he passes out.
Yeah.
Lance passes Kid out for the win, and to retain the U.S. title. So Kanyon, up next, has been hearing going a little cuckoo, or loco, where he says he's been getting visits from somebody to take out Sting.
Okay.
The visits are from Vampiro Beyond the Grave, because he's buried alive. Fucking hate this feud. Sting's beating Vampiro and Ring of Fire match next month, just go. Or Human Torch match next month. See Sting! I would kind of like Cookie like that.
Yeah.
So, he's been attacking Sting at no cost. And he's also upset that he lost the U.S. title. And so he's snapping, Lisa Sting versus Chris Kanyon. A good match with Kanyon can actually wrestle. Good match, goes about 10 minutes. But no offense to Kanyon, Sting's up, loses to Kanyon on pay-per-view. Sting gets the win, and then, the lights go well, and Kanyon was just a pawn in the game. And Vampiro shows up with a torch and shoots Sting in the face. And that sets up the Human Torch match, a new Blood Rising.
Oh god, that pained you.
Yep.
See, yeah, I just said it was already done, and
Yeah, but you know,
fuck it. Fuck it, I'm writing it off.
But I was thinking I want my two main events, I still need Sting to be a storyline.
Yeah.
So
Same here.
This is more like a side piece in his main story, which I know I signed to end it, but I had to kayfabe you and think to end it. It wants to end it. But Sting wins the Human Torch match, so we did that if I will like that one. Then Flair defeated Billy Kidman at last month at the Great American Bash. I got some points in her face. So next night on Nitro, Flair's attacked from behind by Jeff Jarrett. And Jarrett breaks a guitar over Ric Flair's knee.
Okay.
And Jeff Jarrett starts talking about how 3 years ago he was considered 4 years ago. 3. He was considered Ric Flair's protege. He was supposed to be the new Ric Flair.
Yeah, he was in the Horsemen.
Yeah, and now look at him now. And now he wants to really WCW the egotistical legend that is Ric Flair. And he wants to do it in a submission. He challenged Ric Flair to a submission match. 3 versus Ric Flair at Bash and Beach. What you get is Ric Flair's in his gear, by the way.
Yeah.
Not polo, Hawaiian shirt, dress pants Ric Flair, not 2000 look.
Yeah. Same here.
Yeah.
First match with my match with Lance Storm for him.
Yeah. David is in the crowd with the family. He never really went that batshit crazy because I never really so.
Yeah.
So the family's there, including Beth, Flair's wife at the time, Charlotte and Ree's mom,
Yeah.
and Nick Reese. Because of when Jeff Jarrett pulls her over the guardrail and hits her in the head with a guitar on the Go Home show. So anyway, well, Flair's handcuffed in the ring, it's one of those big new blood beatdowns like the Go Home show.
Okay.
So while Flair's handcuffed in the ring before my Scott Steiner, Jarrett just pulls her over it. Bam. I think he did that to somebody else before, but I can't think who it was. Once it was midnight.
Yeah.
With Booker. I will say that's where I got the idea from. I know he did this not a woman before. I was it was midnight. He pulls her in the guardrail. And as he's pulling her in the guardrail, he smacks her in the head. That's how he did it at midnight. But me, he pulls her in the guardrail and holds her by the hair and then picks her up and smacks her in her head. Like she's found his bullet. So she's in a neck brace. The match is a really good technical match because Flair's not in it. Flair's in his gear. It's a really good technical match. It goes about 12 minutes. In the end, though, you can see Flair's knee is giving out on him from Jarrett attacking it like 4 weeks prior. And Jarrett does Jarrett has him in the figure 4, but Flair's not going to give up. He makes the ropes, but there's no DQ and submission matches. Well, at least in WWE. And WCW is not either, because that makes more sense.
Yeah.
So Flair's like trying to pull the ropes to get out of it. Bischoff goes over because you know his hatred with Flair for 98. He goes over and puts his hand on Beth. I guess ready to pull her over the guardrail again. As she slaps him. Beth slaps him. This is over Bookmaster, but still number 2000. But Beth slaps Eric. So Eric grabs her by the hair and goes to point one on her in front of her children. But David, because he is a wrestler.
He's also a grown man. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not letting Rhea or Charlotte do this.
Yeah.
David or Rhea, because she's not a wrestler. So David shoves him, just shoves him off, and then Eric is going to attack David. Arn Anderson comes from behind. A spinebusters Eric on the outside.
Okay.
To help his friend. And then, meanwhile, Jarrett lets go to hold. We're still in pain, and while Arn's not looking, Arn just hit in the head with a guitar.
Okay.
And then Flair finally takes Jarrett down, goes for the figure 4. Jarrett goes, before does a spin, Jarrett kicks, before does a spin, Jarrett kicks him with his free leg.
Okay.
And the band knee. And gets Flair down. Flair starts screaming at pain, but he's on the verge of tapping. Then Beth jumps over the guardrail, frozen like the tail. So Flair don't have to give up to the figure 4. Because that'd be humiliation enough. Jarrett wins. Flair don't. And then Flair does a tap. And he goes away for a few months to heal kayfabe knee injury. Then after the match, Jarrett picks Beth up while she's checking on the strokes her. No, I'm joking. Yes, I bring a woman beater Jeff Jarrett, 1999 woman beater Jeff Jarrett to WCW.
Well, the best Jeff Jarrett.
Right, so I never thought he was world champ material,
but he can sure shit beat up a woman.
Right, so I do find him entertaining enough to be a upper mid-card, lower main event heel. So yes. Then up next, my career-ending match. If Hulk Hogan loses, Mike Awesome versus Hulk Hogan. Mike Awesome was pretty much just a simple build-up. Mike Awesome was officially a star when he first came to WCW, and that's the end of the career of his uncle. And the legacy of Hulkamania once and for all. This 8-minute match. I don't really think you can picture Mike Awesome versus Hulk Hogan going that long in 2000. And pretty much go get Hogan into the match. Because Hogan said he wasn't going to fight his family again on no terms until Mike Awesome pretty much mocked his career and Hogan got go into. And in the end, about 8-10 minutes tops, Mike Awesome gets the biggest win of his career by ending the career of Hulk Hogan in WCW. And then after the match, he dubs himself the career killer. As he's already gotten where Luger took out DDP, and now Hogan.
Okay.
So the career killer Mike Awesome.
Instead of the fat chick thriller.
Right, not no lie. I was trying to think of something that rhymed with thriller. And then when it was killer, the legend killer was already on the TV, but the career killer wasn't. So
yeah,
it kind of all works out well. Up next, Goldberg versus Kevin Nash. Not the way around for Scott Hall's contract. Because Scott Hall, I think get rid of.
He's already gone. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Eric Bischoff plays. Pretty much puts a rift between Nash and Goldberg. He's trying to convince Goldberg to join the New Blood. Yeah, but he puts a rift between the new, I won't say friendship, but alliance. And Sheldon Goldberg footage of Starrcade 98 of how Nash ended history. And that screwed him a year and a half earlier.
It's always the NWO or the Outsiders
Right,
for
yeah.
Goldberg in WCW.
Yeah, so
That's the root of all of his problems.
Goldberg don't trust Nash, Nash don't trust Goldberg. No miscommunication, because they're not keeping them. They were allowed to keep them tag team. They were just an alliance to be up off Bagwell and Shane Douglas. You can see on this card. I just need a team for Nash to get Goldberg as a partner. So what you get is maybe a little shorter than their Starrcade match. Like a 6-minute match. 6-7-minute match, and the point is Goldberg is in the back.
Yeah.
Not much built in this one. Pat had way better story for it. For me, it's more like I just want Goldberg to get the win back over Nash.
I mean, they could do you could do certain things like you do have the aspect of Goldberg's still a face. Well, both are still a face, but Nash is seeing Goldberg being attempted into a fight with Nash, and Nash can react to that badly.
Right. Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm gonna get him before he gets me, almost.
Yeah, and pretty much Bischoff will put that in Nash's head, so.
Yeah.
To try to sway him. We might have no chance with him, because Nash is NWO.
Yeah.
For life. But, and then in the end, Eric Bischoff, I forgot to mention, who makes himself the special referee. That's just playing the ref here. And yeah, Goldberg his spear, same corner. I didn't have an idea. The same camera angle, but the side of the spear. And then jackhammers Nash 1, 2, 3. Bischoff raises his arm because Bischoff counted. Bischoff did play fair, but he was more so on Goldberg's side. Like when Nash would do his elbows, Bischoff would get in the corner.
Yeah.
To pull Nash away. And then Bischoff raises Goldberg's hand thinking Goldberg joins him. And then Goldberg grabs Bischoff right through and does that gorilla press power slam to him, and it's just appears to be Jesus out for Bischoff too. And just pretty much says he's not. And he picks up the mic and pretty much says, "Not Millionaires Club, not New Blood, World Heavyweight Champion." And then just pretty much said, "World Heavyweight Champion, who's next?" So Goldberg's his own man.
Yeah, that was pretty much my idea as well.
And then the main event is Booker T versus Scott Steiner for the World Heavyweight title. Pretty much in the build-up, Booker T tells Scott Steiner that you never pin me, sucker, at the Great American Bash. You beat Sting, you didn't pin me, and challenges him to a singles match at the beach. Like past build-up for Hogan and Jarrett, it's just pretty much the added caveat, you didn't beat me, but I still want your title. On the babyface side. Mm-hmm. And the caveat is also that Booker does beat the babyface does beat the top New Blood heel.
Yeah.
Booker does beat Scott Steiner, become a 2-time WCW champion in the main event match on the beach, and it goes on to have a reign where he'll probably lose it to Goldberg eventually. In my head, Booker will lose it to Goldberg eventually to get Goldberg back on top too. But I already had established Booker throughout the year. Yeah. So I just want to crown him again before I would, like, in my head, if we were further Goldberg, you can get back on top.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you kind of have a big babyface bow. A big star face off. Mm-hmm. I don't know, that's in my head. So yeah, that's my card.
Well, sounds way better than what we got.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, the trouble I had to go through just starting off with Vince Russo's template, I honestly do not blame you for starting at the beginning of the year.
I couldn't do it. I tried to work with those storylines. I give you credit because you took the harder route. I know it sounds like you took the easier route because you didn't have to start from scratch. I did. But the difference was, I was starting from scratch with what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
You start with shit.
Yeah. And I had to make it better.
Right.
And I think, like, the way we both did it were easier for us.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think the way I did it, you could do it. And I don't think the way you did it,
I was never able to do it. I
Yeah.
tried it with Russo, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I just figured I had to fantasy book 6 paper. I had to fantasy book 6 prior paper in order to get to where I want.
Instead of just starting with Russo.
Right, yeah. I started from Russo's break.
Again, I don't blame you at all for doing
I
that.
started with Russo's first break at the end of '99, and the beginning of 2000. I started with his first break. I started with Kevin Sullivan booking
That man lasted 2 months.
in the first time. Yeah.
The first time.
And he stayed out.
Bischoff and Hogan weren't even there, really.
Right, and Bischoff will be brought back.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem bringing Bischoff back. So I was like, okay, I'm taking the easy way out. I don't like, but I can't book that.
Yeah.
I couldn't book it like that. So
Yeah.
I did great. Well, what, you don't think you could book it from your own dub? They had easier roster book it from your.
I think just in my mind, I think there'd be like trying to tackle that. I probably could eventually do it, but I think it's like it would be like too massive for me to actually try to tackle.
Right.
That I would just like quit halfway through.
So that's the end of this one. The Bash of the Beach.
Yeah.
We booked it in 2000. Which,
We finally did it.
Yep.
We saved WCW Bash to the Beach 2000.
Yes, I think we did. I'm gonna say there were really 8 shows, but they're at least like they're not apps.
Yeah.
So
At least at least I think for both shows there's movement in the right direction.
right.
Going out of those shows.
So moving on, now we're moving to for November. Our Save It show is
Survivor Series 1997. With one caveat. The main event must be Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels,
Okay.
and it must be Bret Hart's last night.
Okay. That's right. Okay, I do it. I pulled it yesterday. What's our booking for No January?
I remember you said it last night. I was like, I have to like not change my expression at all.
Right. So what's our
To
booking?
not give you a hint.
So what's our booking for January?
I have ideas in my head.
Okay. You want to tell us?
Not yet.
Alright. So now do for this one edition of Pat and Joe Save Wrestling. You should see this sometime in the middle of the week. And then we'll be back on Friday with our Survivor Series 2013 finally, which is everyone been waiting for, a retro review, I'm sure. Because I know I've been waiting to do that.
Yeah, there's pins and needles I'm sitting on.
Ed started doing 2010 Punch review for Payback and All Out Weekend for me. And we'll see you then.
See you then.
No, that's not that.